So good afternoon everyone. Is the screen clear? If it is clear, please let me know if you can see everything on the screen. Okay, great. So I have 9 students logged in now. So I'll wait a bit more. Okay, so I have all of them here. So while they're coming, today we will learn the compositing process. The compositing process we will do after rendering a scene in Maya. So once a scene in Maya is rendered, we will take that scene to Photoshop and we will composite over there, and we can adjust there, we can refine it, we can make it look more like attractive, look more like nicer aesthetically or and creatively also, technically also. Okay. So basically the process we will use over here is known as multipass rendering process, and we take that multipass render and we'll take that inside Photoshop, and then we will composite all those passes in the Photoshop. So I will tell you what is multipasses and and how to create a multipass. So to do this, what I will do here is that I will open our last file that we worked on, which was the pizza file, if you remember, the one that we created. So I will open that one here. You will notice that I have done some changes in the file. Okay, I added like a tissue paper box over there, and inside the tissue paper box I have added some tissue papers as well. Okay, so this basically what it do is that it will create some sort of a nice output. Okay, so now you can see on this screen I have here a tissue paper box also added, okay, which was not there last time. Now in this screen in the Maya, you can see the lighting because I have turned on the lighting. You can see the texture because I have also turned on the texture. And there is one more option here which is called anti-aliasing. This will help to make my scene more softer. If you will notice that around the cup, the border is not clear because there is no anti-aliasing there. So as soon as I will turn it on from here, this is from where you can turn on the anti-aliasing. You can see on the icon, it shows that these jagged outline is becoming smoother. So that's what it do. All these jagged lines that you can see here and here, it will make it smoother. So as soon as I will press it, so you can see that all that's gone. Okay, so it will look much nicer there. Other thing I can turn on here is the shadows. Okay, and I can turn on the shadows. So it will start showing me the shadows. Okay, and after that I have one more option here, which is screen space ambient occlusion. Okay, so I will turn that on and you can see that there is now shadow is clear. Now one by one I will tell you what is affecting our 3D scene, so you will understand more about the multipasses. Inside any 3D application, whenever you render them, you render not only one image. The image is a mix of passes. There are a lot of different type of passes, but the major one I will tell you about. What do we have? The first pass we have is known as albedo. Albedo map means the texture of our file, like this Coca-Cola texture, this texture of the pattern, the pizza texture, the texture on the box, okay, and texture on the tissue paper box and the mat, as I said. These are albedos. Okay, now what is albedo? Like the texture, the file, the image that you have placed over here. And what is not albedo? Let me tell you what is not albedo. If you will see this plate does not have any texture. It have a shader. It's not albedo, it's just a shader there. Also these Coca-Cola, these are not texture. We have a light transmission texture over here. So if you don't remember, you can go back to the last class, which is already uploaded in the live session playlist. You will see that there. Okay, so this is not albedo, that transmission. this plate is not albedo. Okay, rest is albedo, which is image texture. So if I will show you some example here. Okay, now basically this is your final output of a 3D render, for example. And here what do we have is that, let me make it a little bigger. Okay, we have here like a complete 3D map. This is rendered final version. But if we want to see how the albedo look like, this is what albedo looks like. Albedo is only the color. Okay, the color, the image, without any shadow, without any highlights, without any reflections. That is the albedo. Okay, the color. Is this clear, everyone? Anyone who have a confusion regarding the albedos right now? Okay, now let's see one more example here. If you have a click here, you can see that this is all fully textured with the shadows, with the highlights, but here is the albedo, only the color of the image. Okay, that's what the albedo is. Okay, now we have 3D pictures of people. Okay, like a 3D render of people over here. Like suppose this is a person. Okay, and this is only albedo. So this is how the albedo of a person's face looks like. Okay, but if I render this, it will look like this, with a shadow, with the highlights and everything. But without that, albedo is like this, only the color. Okay, so that's the albedo. Next thing we have over here in the image is the specular. Now what is the specular basically? Specular is the highlight. You can see the highlight is there here on, if I will rotate over here. Okay, sorry, if I zoom over here, you can see there is a highlight on the plate. Okay, there is a highlight on the pizza cheese, there is a highlight on this glass. Okay, on this Coca-Cola, there is highlight over here. Okay, now what are these? These are basically kind of specular. This is called specular. So depending on our setting, we can have a high like we can have a very rough specular, and we can have less specular. So if your specular is very rough, so it will look more like matte. Okay, but if it is very high, just like here you have high specular here, like with a low roughness, so it will look very sharp, just like this. So that's how your specular works with the roughness. You decrease the roughness, you get high specular. If you increase the roughness, you will get a matte sort of specular. Okay, so let's see here if we have more example of the specular. Now this is, we'll see example of the specular over here. Let's check an example of a person's face. Okay, so I have here one example. Okay, and here I have a person's specular. So you can see that what is the specular here? The highlights. Everything black is you can say like washed out or dim, or there is nothing over there. It's all clipped. But whatever is white is highlight. Okay, is the specular. So the light, when it will fall on this person's face, okay, so final result will kind of look like this. Okay, because whatever is black, you can see that does not have any specular. It's all, you can say, diffuse, or like a matte, or sort of like there's no specular. But whatever is this area, okay, which is this highlighted area, you will see specular over there. So what is the specular? Is the highlight that appears on your screen. Okay, so that's what it is basically. Okay, now other example, let me show other pass. Let's see over here is the ambient occlusion. Now if you will notice that I have turned on the ambient occlusion from my scene, so it looks like this. If I turn it off, just notice what happens to the scene. Can you see there is no shadow there? If I turn it on, you can see there is some shadows there. So ambient occlusion is the atmospheric shadow. So anywhere you are, in reality, there is some ambient occlusion. So the right amount of ambient occlusion makes your scene realistic, and if the amount is not right, it will become unrealistic. So what is the ambient occlusion? It is basically the atmospheric shadow. So if I turn it off, you can see there is no shadow anymore here. If I turn it on, you can see shadows here, you can see shadows here. Okay, so that's how you can get the ambient occlusion. Okay, amount of shadow. So let's see some images with or without ambient occlusion. Here I have an example. Okay, so YouTube video. So let's see here. We have this file. Okay, without ambient occlusion, it's all flat. With the ambient occlusion, it will pop out more because there is a shadow. You can see dark areas, you can see light areas. So there is a clear difference between dark and light areas. So that is the ambient occlusion. In reality, it looks like this. Everything white is the flat area, and everything that is black is more, showing the dark part, the shadow part. So with ambient occlusion, you can clearly differentiate between flat and something which have like dark areas. Okay, bright and darkness. You can easily do a comparison. Now, next over here we have is the transmission. Now, what is the transmission? Transmission is basically a transparency or refraction that allow you to see through things. Like this Coca-Cola or a cola drink, here is a transmission. Okay, so it's a see-through thing. Okay, you can see through it. There is a refraction in it, just like in real life the water have refraction. Okay, right amount of refraction will give you a realistic look. Okay, so here are some example of the transmission. So if you will see over here, this is from the like Solid Works website. Okay, and you can see here this is completely whole thing. Okay, with the refraction and then without. So you can see how it is changing from with or without. Okay, other thing here we have this image. Okay, you can see that this ball actually is transparent. Okay, and this ball is having a transmission. So anything that have see-through or refraction is using the transmission basically. Okay, now next we'll see over here is the subsurface scattering. The subsurface scattering over here is applied on the pizza. Now this is very important. When you will work on your project, make sure those items that can have a light effect, like if I will put a light on my hands, okay, it will show a subsurface scattering. And if I will put a light on the pizza, it do show a subsurface scattering, but not too much. So the value will be lesser than my hand. Now, what is subsurface scattering? Let me show you an example here. If you have your hand, okay, and you put a light or torch behind it, so you will see through some kind of blood running around color over here. What is this? This is the subsurface scatter. Okay, so you can see here, and it is affected by the light. As much light you will put against it, you will see more of it. Okay, and what are the objects that have subsurface scatters? Skin. Okay, skin do have, just like this, skin have subsurface scatter. Wax, if something is made out of wax. Okay, if something is made out of plastic, okay, that also have. Okay, silicon or rubber, okay, that have subsurface scattering. So these kind of things will produce subsurface scattering. Apart from that, if we will see here a good example, gummy bears. Gummy bear have subsurface scattering. Stones, just like we have these stones that we wear in our rings, okay, so that have subsurface scattering. Okay, and then some of these wax statues, or they have subsurface scattering. Also, one of the good example is maybe grapes. Okay, so if you will see the grapes image here, If there is a light, you can see the subsurface of the grapes coming out of it. So grapes have that, okay? Different color of grapes will have different color of subsurface scatter. And if you remember, when we were making the pizza, we applied the subsurface scatter on the cheese and the you can say the like the pepperoni part. So if you want to go back and check how we did that, you can go back to that lecture and see. So subsurface scatter can be in the plastic also. So this is, you can see it is in the plastic. You can check here different subsurface scattering on the plastic. These plastic also have subsurface scatter. And let's try if there is a bread. Okay, so subsurface scatter can be inside the bread, okay, like we did on the pizza, but it will be not too harsh. Okay, if you will apply a lot of subsurface scatter, so you will have something this kind of a result. So you can see that it looks not too realistic. It shows like there is a light coming out of it. Okay, so you have to make sure that your value is correct. Okay, not too high or not too low. Compared to that, this looks good. Okay, and soap can have a subsurface scatter. Okay, liquids like milk, juice, orange juice, okay, and cola, these kind of juice that have little thickness, viscosity, okay, that can have also subsurface scattering. Okay, so these are simple example of subsurface scattering over here. Okay, so next, what do we have is the Z depth of field. Now, what is the Z depth of field? Z means Z axis. Okay, now if you remember, if you know that in photography, you might have learned about the bokeh. Okay, now what is the bokeh? Let me show you an example here. When you take a picture against something, okay, so you will see a blur background. This is called bokeh. Okay, so this is controlled by depth of field. Now in this image, you can see there is a lot of like bokeh over there behind blur background, because the lens correct, like the lens effect is creating that, because my aperture is too wide, okay, so that my light, so it's allowing a lot of light to enter the camera, so it is creating a depth of field behind. This is known as bokeh, okay, and depth of used by the depth of field here. Now that we can also apply inside like Maya, but when you will render, it will take forever to render. So it is always better to create a pass of that, and in Photoshop you can control that. Okay, so we will see in detail what we do with this. So if we will see Z depth, it kind of look like this. Okay, black and white, kind of look a little bit like strange, but in fact how it works, if we will see here, there is a like a good explanation from CG Talk. Okay, so you will see I have this object, okay, and this is my Z depth. Okay, now I can control with Photoshop the depth of field. Like suppose like this can become blurred, and this can become in focus, or this can become in focus, and these can become in like blurred. So these kind of changes I can do in Photoshop easily. If I will do that in Maya, it will take a long time to render. Okay, so that's what do we have here, different passes, and there are more than that, but these are the main ones that we will use here to render out. So first of all, what we need now after we have rendered. After rendering, you need Photoshop. Okay, so any version, I will use 2020 version. Okay, I do have 2021 version also, but most of you, I don't think you have 2021 version. So I will use 2020 version. Okay, and what else you need? You need a plugin, okay, which is basically called exr-io, okay, which is free plugin you can download. Okay, I will show you here where to go. There is a website called exr-io.com. Okay, and here if you will go to the website exr-io.com, okay, let me once you go there, directly it will give you this download link. So you can download the new version, which comes with the CryptoMat support, or old version, but it's better to download the new version. Okay, and you can just click on it, download this one, and it will download for free. There is no charges, nothing, and you install it and automatically it will be in your Photoshop. Okay, so just keep in mind the name of this website is exr-io.com. Okay, so that's what you else needed. Now let's start setting up our AOVs. So first of all, let me set my camera, okay, the way I want it, suppose like this. Now everything is ready. Now I just need to go to my render setup, which is here. It also supports like a Mac. So if you're downloading, it will ask you what you are using, Mac or PC. So you can choose Mac and you can install on Mac as well. Now here we have our display render setting. You just click on the display render setting, and as soon you will click on it, it will all show you the render settings. Now let's check what settings we need for the multipass rendering. Now first you have to go to the common, and we'll go to the first of. Let me close this all so that we can do one by one. Okay, first I will let me close this. It's always better to close these options so you don't have in the end whatever you need you can open it up. Okay, now I will go in the common. Before that I have to make sure my render layer is master layer. My render using is Arnold. I'm using Arnold. Now I will go to the file output now, where I want to save the file. Now to save the file, I don't want to save it right away. Okay, I will save it later on, so it's up to you. So I will save it later on. I will not do anything here. This is the prefix. Okay, you can use any prefix that you want, how you want the name of the file. So I'm not using anything here, but what you can do, you can type your own prefix. So your name of the file will be according to that, but I'm not using anything at the moment. Image format for multipass rendering, you cannot use JPEG. It have to be EXR. So if I will click here image format, you will see here there is EXR. You just click on EXR. Now once you do EXR, you have all the other options here for compression. I don't want to compress it, I will choose none. Okay, after that I will not change any other thing here. I will keep it tiled and the rest as it is. Nothing I will change here. Okay, after I have a metadata here, okay, which I will not change anything here. I will keep it as it is, and I'll close this. Let's go to frame range. Now this is not an animation, so I don't have a frame range here, so I will ignore this one. Renderable cameras. So the camera that I'm rendering right now is the perspective. I will keep it perspective. Now one thing here you will notice that is depth channel Z depth. This will be by default turned off. For me it was turned on because I turned it on last time. So you have to make sure the depth channel Z depth is turned on. To output the Z depth, this is important. Otherwise you will not have a Z depth, and you cannot control the depth of field. Okay, so that's one issue here if you will not turn it off. Now what next I have to do here, I will minimize it. I will go to image size now. Now I don't want it to be too small. Okay, so here are custom. There are a lot like presets. If you have a really good computer, you can go 4K, and you have a lot of different kind of like settings for printing also if you want to do some printing stuff. Okay, small also 720p. So actually if you're doing animation, so those who don't have a good computer, I recommend to use this. But right now we are not doing animation, so we are doing a screen size. So what I prefer is that I will just add one more zero in the height, and make sure before doing that you have to check this one, maintain width and height ratio. So Width and height will go all together. Otherwise, you have to change both of them individually. But I had it checked, so when I changed it to 100, from 100 to 1000, it changed the width also. So that's a good way. If you're working for a printing press, so you can change the resolution from 72 to 300. But I'm not working for any printing, like I'm not rendering it for any printing purpose, so I will keep it 72. So I will close this one. Scene assembly. Scene assembly, active representation means whatever is represented here. I don't want to do any changes. Render option, I don't have to do any changes here as well. So you have noticed what I have changed. I have changed the image format to EXR. I have changed my renderable camera and just choose the camera that I'm using. This is the perspective camera, so I will use this one to render. This you can change later on also while it is rendering, but this you have to make sure you turn on the depth channel, see depth. Okay. Now, image size. This is, I'll change the image size, and rest I kept it everything as it is. Okay. Now on the render. Now here, if you have sampling. Now what is the sampling basically? Sampling is the quality of your output. Now quality of the output. First, let's see one thing here. How many lights I'm using? I'm only using one light. Environmental light. I don't understand what you mean by environment. Like you are asking, can I change the environmental lighting? Environmental lighting can be changed anytime. Okay. You mean here inside your scene, the passes. Environmental light is the one that you're using. Your render will be according to that light. You cannot change the light basically. That's one thing you have to keep in mind, because the light amount you can change it, how brighter, how darker you want, but light itself you cannot change it. The light that you're using will stay as it is. Okay. So that's one thing. So if I'm using this light here, it's only one light I'm using. Okay, I don't have any other light. So if you will see, if you click on the light, you will see there are samples inside the light. This one you can also increase. I have already increased it to 3. 3 is a good amount, more than enough. So what it will do is that it will make my quality good for the lighting, like wherever the lighting is. Now here I don't have any lighting. Oh, sorry, I have already done it. So here I have other samples too. So lighting I have already done. Now first sample over here is the camera. Right now it is 3, so the quality will be very low. It will be really low because camera itself is the main thing that you're looking at. We are looking from the eye of the camera, so that means this is the main thing that have to be high. 10 I believe is good for slow computers, but if your computer is really good, then go for 14. And if you're using a very great camera, then 18 is good. But if you're doing animation, you cannot go to 10. It will make your computer slower. So what you can do, you can keep it 7. Okay. And the rest of this, you can keep it 3. But I'm not using animation, so I will keep it 10. Diffuse, as I told you, what is diffuse? The albedo, the color. Okay. So the color quality 3 is fine, because already I changed the camera quality, which is the main thing. Rest 3, 3, 3 are fine. It will be perfect for the animation. Okay, so no need to increase them. But if you're doing for printing purpose, if your render is really huge, really big, then maybe you can increase it. But for now, it's fine. You don't have to like worry too much about it. Okay, so diffuse is what the albedo, the color. So that is like the diffuse. So albedo, diffuse, it's 3. Specular, as I told you, the highlights. Okay, so 3. If it is not 3, if it is 1, so So you will have a lot of noise, but I kept it 3. Plus the camera itself is 10, so that is also pushing them. It's also helping them to become like, to give a good output. If this is low, then you have to increase that. But if this is 10, then maybe 3 is enough for these. Transmission, as I told you, the refraction like these, the cola, okay. And there is one more transmission here, if you will notice, is this on the ground, like a water. Water is like a fell down, like, spilled on the mat, something like that, okay. After that, I have triple S, this is the subsurface scattering, and that I only applied over here, and which you can use it 3 as well. Volume indirect, we don't have any volumetric work over here, means like volumetric lighting, but we don't have it. So though the thing that you don't have it, keep it 0. Make sure your progressive render is unchecked if you're doing a final render. If you're doing testing, then don't use these values, because testing, if you will use these values and this size, you will be never able to test your render. For testing, to check if everything is okay, keep this very low, the size, okay. Here, don't keep it 10, maybe 3, and turn this on so it will be faster. And once you tested everything is okay, then you turn back on the higher values here, okay. And also when you're testing, you can turn on the adaptive sampling, but sometimes you can, but I don't usually do this. Apart from that, we have here, I will ignore the other parts here. I don't want to work on these, okay. This one for higher, maybe you can reduce this like filter, but I will not reduce that. I will keep it as it is. Here I have advanced. If you're using like a subsurface scattering like this one, then you have to go to advanced and use auto bump in subsurface scattering. So it will also use like an auto bump over here as well. What is the auto bump? Because if you remember, we applied in the last class a depth here, like a height map here, like a displacement map that makes it look more realistic. It pops up, like like a 3D texture. It gives it to it. So for the subsurface scattering, you have to turn it on, okay, to get the result over here. So that's what I will do. Then I will go to the ray depth. Ray depth, it's already 10. What is the ray depth? It is all about the refraction, reflections, highlights, and anything that is related to reflection and refraction. That is the ray depth, okay, which is already 10. It is good, okay. Mainly it works for the transmission. Transmission is already 8, which is much more nicer. I can increase the specular to 3, okay, but for now I don't want to increase it too much because already it is 3 here, and my camera is also 10, so that means I'm okay with it. So I usually don't change the ray depth, but if you believe that if you're working for a very big huge file, then maybe you can change it to 14 and add 2 values to each of it, like 2, 2, 2. If using volume, then 2, otherwise no need, okay. Now that's what I have here in the ray depth. Environment, everything I will keep as it is because I don't have any environment effect, like I don't have any volumetric lights or anything here, okay, and I don't have any extra light or something. So everything as it is, I will keep it. I'm not going to change anything over here, okay. Now I will go to the system. System here also I will not change anything. One thing I want to show here is the render device. So, some of you, if you're using a gaming computer, which is a very great gaming computer, and you have a very strong video card, VGA card, like suppose you have NVIDIA 2018 RTX, so then you can use GPU, which is graphical process unit. So it will use your graphic card to render. But I don't have a very strong graphic card. I have only 2 GB 1080, so I will use CPU. But if you have a strong one, you can go in the render device and choose GPU. Okay. Now, memory here, I will not change anything. I will keep everything as it is. Okay. And here there is one more thing. The bucket size, I will keep it as it is. Spiral, what is the bucket size? When it renders with a bucket, okay, like a box. When I will render, then I will show you what is the bucket. So that bucket, I will keep it a little bigger. I don't want it to be smaller, because smaller, usually some people like to have smaller, but I don't like smaller because I have to wait a little bit more as my graphics card is slow to see the result output, okay. So I prefer to have it a little bigger, the bucket size, okay. Spiral means it will render in this form, like this, coming from inside going outside. So I will keep it spiral, okay. Rest everything, I don't want to change anything over here, okay. And whatever over here is basically some advanced settings which we don't have to go in, okay. Now let's do the main thing, AOVs. Here we have Aov Browser. If I will turn it on, and here is the list of AOVs. If I will turn it on here, so both are now on. Now these are the AOVs. AOVs is what? Basically AOV is the multipasses which I was like telling you about, okay. uh like Subsurface Scattering is a AOV, Ambient Occlusion, Specular, those things are the AOVs basically, okay. So it's basically you know it's kind of a like a uh, like render passes, okay. So what we will do over here is that we will choose here the AOVs that we want, okay, and add it over here. The one which I told you about, those are the one that we will move from here and here. If you're wondering what AOV stands for, AOV stands for arbitrary output variables, okay. So it's a quite overwhelming like a sort of like a word which is quite difficult to understand, okay. So but just keep in mind that AOVs are basically your render passes. Now the first I need to add over here is the albedo. Albedo is what? The color, as I told you, the color. So I will go to the albedo and I will press this button. When I will press this button, it will jump from here to this side and it will be added, okay. And you can rename it if you want, but I don't want to rename it. Other than that, we have here specular, so I can go here down. You can see there are a lot, but I don't want all of them, okay. I can go to specular. Now there are different kind of specular. There is normal specular, which I will add. Just click on specular, click here, it will be added. Now there is specular direct and indirect. I will add both of them. What is specular direct? The parts of the objects or our meshes where the light is directly falling is the direct specular, okay. And when the lights are falling not directly, suppose if the light follows on the box and it strikes on the box, then it goes to this box. So this is so that bounce light is not direct light, it's an indirect light. So that is the indirect specular. Direct specular when it's falling directly on the object, and indirect is when it is falling on some other object and then bouncing over it. That is the indirect specular. So I will add both of them. Maybe I will use it because there is no harm if you are adding as many you want, okay, because it will not affect your render time. Maybe the file size, but not the render time. Render will be the same time with or without, okay. Now I have here triple S, which is the subsurface scattering. This is also, I will add it here. Transmission, I will add this one. Then I will go up. Here I have Z depth. I will add this one, okay. But I don't have here ambient occlusion. Now ambient occlusion is not included here. So what you need to do, how to add an ambient occlusion? You have to go first to your hypershade. You click on it, okay. So once your hypershade is open, you can go to any empty area, suppose here, okay. And once you are here, you have to search for, or you have to go to the Arnold here, because we are using Arnold and shader. Inside the Arnold shader, you have to search for Arnold ambient occlusion, okay. So let me check. I think it should be in yeah, here it is. Here you can see the Arnold Ambient Occlusion. You click over here. Okay, let me zoom out. Here is your ambient occlusion. This is the name of the ambient occlusion. So now what I will do is that I will double click here and copy the name of it. In 1 second, I will tell you why did I copy it. Okay, so I just copy the name of this and I will minimize it. Now I will go to add custom. When I will go to add custom, it will ask me the name of the AOV, because all these names I already given. This one I want a different sort of a name. Okay, maybe I will write here AO, ambient occlusion, or MB, okay, or my AO, whatever name you come up, you can write. I will just type AO, ambient occlusion, and I will create by pressing AOA is there, but how I will move it here, how Maya will know that this is ambient occlusion, because these are all set up. This is, I just add a custom and I renamed it AO. How it will know? If you remember, we created that in the hypershade, we created the material and I copied the name. The reason I copied the name, that whatever you add here, okay, it goes inside your attribute editor. And inside your attribute editor, you have all these settings, but you have to search for the settings custom AOV, because this is custom, and shader. So it will ask the name of the shader. So the shader I added is the ambient occlusion shader. So I copied the name. Now simple, I have to paste the name. So if the name is correct and if I press enter, you will see this output. That means this is correct. Otherwise, you will not see an output and it will not create a like ambient occlusion here. Now we have added whatever we needed. Everything is done. Now one more thing I have to do here is that I will go to the denoiser, because when you render, sometimes you have noise, especially when you do a very low quality of the animation. So when you do a low quality of animation, you will have a noise. So what you need to do, you have to go to the denoiser and you have to click over here, output denoise AOVs. So if you will press output in Arnold denoiser, we have optics denoiser also, but I'm working on the Arnold denoiser, and you have to click it, make sure this is clicked. Okay, and then you can close it or keep it open, up to you. Now we are done, we are ready. So everything is done. I have to go here to my Arnold render view. Okay, and simple, what I need to do here is that when this file is open, I just have to, you can zoom out just to see everything is fine. And same navigational commands will work here, like Alt, zoom in and zoom out with the right click, or mouse right click with Alt, drag left or right, okay, and left mouse button will pan around, okay, and you can zoom in and zoom out just like this, but you cannot orbit because this is not a 3D view, it's a 2D view. Simple. I will start the render here. Okay, so I will press it here and it will start rendering. My perspective view is here, and now you can see it is showing me here in this list all my AOVs. Okay, so now the end rendering is started. Okay, and you can move around, like if I will press this real size, this is real size 1:1, so it will show me this will be the real size. Okay, other than that, I can control this in real time by turning on my 3D manipulation. So if I will click on 3D manipulation, now what I can do, I can use my same command like Maya command. I can zoom out, okay, just like this. I can rotate the camera, set it up the way I want it. Okay, so just like I'm working on the Maya. So in real time, I can do my changes and I can move around. And suppose if you like it, you just leave it there. I like this view. I will stop it there. Then I have to turn it off. One more thing is that you have to make sure, suppose if I go now in my shader or any option and do some changes, the changes will be applied here and it will restart your rendering. So that means that suppose if you just want to do some changes, so what will happen is that while you're rendering your scene, if you do some kind of changes over here in Maya, so there will be an issue because it will restart the rendering. And when it restarts rendering, then you have to wait again. So how to change anything you want without restarting the rendering? So there is an option here. This is called hold scene updates. If you click on it, so there is a cross here. Now I can go here to whatever change I want. It will not affect my render. So make sure you click on it if you don't want any updates. But if you want to see updates, you can keep it on. Okay, but I don't want any update because I have just started my final render. I'm satisfied with it. Now let's do one thing here. Let's go to this list where we have all these AOVs. AO was what? Ambient occlusion. If I will go to the AO, you can see that this is how the ambient occlusion of my scene will look like. Okay, all white, that is a flat area, and the dark area is all black. Okay, then Z, depth of my Z depth, but I cannot see anything. Everything is clear white. Usually it is a 32-bit file. That means it will appear bright to you. What you need to do, once you will get this into Photoshop, you will reduce its exposure. Let's demonstrate that here inside Maya. I have this options here which you can view from here. You can go here, okay, sorry, in the window, and you can turn them on, these options. So it will sorry, this one, display settings. So it will show you here, display settings. Okay, so when you turn it on, you can control this. Suppose if I will reduce the exposure here, it will start showing me at this stage. Okay, right now it is rendering, so it's not showing a lot. Okay, plus I'm not activating it, but in Photoshop you will see the results there. Okay, now albedo. Now you can see when I move to albedo, I can only see the colors. There is nothing, there is no highlight, there is no shadow, there is no specular, nothing, just the colors. So that is what albedo is. Okay, now specular. So if you will see over here, everything is black, which is flat, and those things that are not black, okay, have some white hotspots, okay, like highlights. Those are the specular, and you can see the controlled specular. Specular direct. So you can see that it is a little different than normal specular. So you can see that you can see the colors as well over here in the specular direct. Okay, sorry, specular. If you will see normal specular, you will see the colors as well over there. That is having the specular on it. But if I go to specular direct, I just see only black and white image. Okay, with the color and without the color. Specular indirect will show me those areas that are indirectly getting the specular. So specular is basically mix of specular direct and indirect. Okay, this is indirect, this is direct, and combined together you will get specular. Then SSS. Now SSS was only applied over here, so that's why it's showing here. Okay. Then transmission. Transmission, as you can see, it's not too clear because it is a little darker. You can see that I have speculars applied on the Coca-Cola. Let me increase a little bit exposure here. Okay, and yeah, here you can see that how it is. Okay, you can see that there is a like Coca-Cola here showing. Okay, here the water is showing. Let me turn this back to what it was before. Okay, now let's go to the Z depth and check the Z depth again, because maybe now it is a render. Now I will increase the exposure here. Let's see if it is showing again or no. Okay, still it is not showing, so we'll check in Photoshop. Okay, after that, the first one is the beauty. pass is what? Beauty pass is the combination of all the passes that we have. Okay. Now, you can see it has started rendering. It will take a lot of time to render because the file is too big. If I will go to real size, you can see it has rendered only this part till so far. Okay. So for the safe side, what I did was that I made a, like, you know, I pre-rendered the file and inside the Maya with all the same settings, so we can save time and we can work on directly inside the Photoshop. So I will stop this one. Okay, close it, and maybe if you want to save it, you can close this one. Okay, and what I will do over here is that to save my memory, I will close this from here. Okay. So once this is closed, now we will move to the Photoshop. And inside the Photoshop, we will start working on our file. So now it's closed. I'm inside my Photoshop. Now, simple what I will do here is that I will go to the file, open. And once I will go to the file, open, it will take me to my folder. Okay, and you have to choose the folder where you rendered. So I rendered inside this folder, MCO455 lunch, and I named the file when I saved it lunch final image exr. Okay, so already I told you how to save the file. You can go to my previous classes and you will see how to save the file. So you will save it as multi exr file. Okay, so I will select this file and I will open it up here. So as soon as I will open it, it will not directly open, it will show me the exr-io option. Okay, it will ask me, do you want a split alpha? I will say yes, I want everything here. I will check all of them. Only ignore display window, I will just uncheck that. Okay, and keep this one so that maybe next time if you want to uncheck anything, it shows you. Otherwise, it will directly open and you have to go back to change this. Now I will press open. Now I rendered one file, and that one file was the exr file. And when exr file is saved, it will save with all these layers. And what are these layers? These are all the multipasses. The first one is RGB, which is the beauty pass. I will hide the beauty pass here. Then this is A. A is the alpha. Basically, I didn't wanted to render alpha, but it usually comes, you know, it's like it comes with a free. Okay, it comes free, like when you buy sometimes shawarma from some shop, they give you free French fries. So it's like that. When you render something, it gives you free alpha. But I don't actually work on alpha here. Now this is ambient occlusion. Okay, this is the ZRGB. This is the albedo. Okay, let me open the Maya because I just forgot to do one thing here. Okay, and this is this is the Z depth. Okay, now the file that we are working right now is basically a like a 32-bit file, because EXR, it's a EXR file which is 32-bit file. Okay, so if I will go to the image and if I will go to the mode, and you will see that I'm working on RGB file which is 32-bit. Okay, so that's what we have it, and you cannot edit anything if you are in 32. Either you have to be in 8 or 16. I usually work on 16, but sometimes 8. Okay, but I don't want to switch it to 16 right now. The reason is that the Z depth of field, the Z depth is not showing at all here. Why? Because we have to work on the exposure, and if we are in 16 or 8-bit channel, we cannot work on exposure. So we have to make sure before moving to these two, you have to fix this exposure of Z RGB, the Z depth inside the 32-bit. Okay, so I will go here and then I will go to my adjustment. Okay, exposure, and I will reduce the exposure. and you can see as I'm reducing the exposure, the image is coming up. Also offset a bit. So something like this, not too much, okay. Little bit gray should be there. This is fine for me, so I will do this, okay. But before doing this, let me do one thing. Let me close this one, because one thing I forgot to tell you here is what? Let's go to that file back, the pizza file, okay. Remember, we use the denoiser in our image, okay. So that denoiser we now have to apply, okay. So what I have to do, I have to go to the Arnold option on the top. Then I have to go to the utilities option here. Then I have to go here to Arnold Denoiser Noise. Now I'm here in the Arnold Denoiser Noise. Input, I will put here the file that I rendered. Okay, so I have here my file, okay, in the lunch folder, and here is my file. I will open it up, and sorry, and you will see automatically it will create a output folder, okay. So that you don't have to worry about. And the file name, it will put the same file name, but it will just add denoised in the end. Now it's not an animation, but if you're working on an animation, this is a good platform to use it. You can use a complete sequence or start and end and choose your files from 0 to whatever frames you want. But it's a single frame or a complete sequence. I will use it here, and I will press denoise. When I will press denoise, you will notice that how fast it denoised everything. Okay, done. Now I can go here and open up my file, go to my folder here, and let's see where it has put it. Let me go to the detail view and date. Okay, I cannot find it here where it's saved actually. This only thing I can find is the lunch original file here. Let me do one thing. Let's go back and put our own file name there. Utilities and honor denoiser. Click here, okay, and choose this and dn. I will type here, okay. Okay, it's selecting the folder. I just can only choose the folder here. Instead of now complete sequence, I will choose single frame, okay. And but it says start frame or what. I'm on the frame for 120. I will choose here 120, okay. Let's see if it do. Okay, it did it. Let's see. Okay, that's strange that it's not putting anything here. Okay, anyhow, I don't know where it is put, well, like putting it, where it is placing it. Maybe it will take a little time to get appear there, but sure, I'm sure there is some something that we have to turn on. Usually it is complete sequence, but I don't know what is the reason behind this. Okay, so this is the input, this is the output, but why it's not outputting it? Okay, and plus this name of the folder, it's giving a different kind of, I think it's because of my folder name maybe. because if you go here, the name is 455. So why it is not taking this 455? That's why it's putting this. So let me change it to 455, and let's see if this makes a difference. Okay, now there is some issues with, I think this issue with my folder name. So I don't want to change something here. Let me do one thing. I can make a copy of this, go to my desktop and put it on the desktop. Okay, and then I can go back here, choose the one which I pasted on the desktop. Okay, now let's try. Okay, let's do again. Okay, because the complete sequence and denoise. I don't know, there is some error. I'm not sure, maybe I have to restart or something, but that's how you do it actually. Could be issue with my name of the file, but this is how you output it, and then you get usually your output file wherever you have placed it. Okay, but I'll just go and then I will take my file from my folder. Okay. Okay, so here I have it. Now, as I was showing you before, I have to go to these this Z depth. Okay, before change, because we have to change it to 16-bit or 8-bit. Otherwise, what will happen? It will not work fine, and so many options we won't be able to do because 32-bit is quite limited but high quality. Okay, so I will go here, change it to go to the exposure, make sure the ZRGB is selected. I will reduce the exposure here. Okay, and offset also a bit, it's too much. Now it's fine. I think it's fine. You can also change the gamma if you want a bit. Done. Now I'm done with this. I can go to image, adjustment, sorry, mode, 16-bit, and it will ask you that you are changing from, you are downgrading your image, like you are going from 32 to 16. So it will ask you to merge or don't merge. So I don't want to merge, otherwise they all these layers will be merged. So I will press no, like not merge. I don't want to merge it. Now, simple. I will do one thing here. Don't work on the original layers. I will turn them off on. I will make a copy of Albedo by pressing Ctrl J and move the copy on the top. Okay. After that, I will make a copy of Specular and move on the top of the Albedo. Now, here is my Specular, and underneath I have my Albedo. So what I will do here is that I want to combine these two. To combine these two, you have to go to the normal and you have all these options. So the one that suits best, you have to go there. Okay, and then you can stop. Okay, so I will go to all of these, and the best that suits is basically here is the, I think, none of them suits that much, so maybe hard light or something. Okay, so this is one way of doing this. Okay, by combining that. Okay, so this is only one. I have tried that. Okay, so I can go to my hard light, reduce the like specular level or increase the specular level, or then try that. So this is one way of placing over it. Now the correct way, or or you can say the best way to do it, okay, is let me change the highlight here and hide this specular, okay, to see what you want here. Okay, first of all, what I want here is to work on my specular, okay, not the specular as the combination of specular. So I will work on my specular direct. So I will delete those which I copied. I will take specular direct, make a copy of it, Control J, and bring it on the top. It is on the top of my RGB. Now this is not black and white because I have to convert this into a black and white image so that I can use this as a mask. Okay, so what I will do here, I will go to Image, Adjustment, Black and White. Okay, and everything should be normal over here. In the preset, you have I think different kind of options here, but I don't want to use this. Or else what you can do, instead of making it black and white, what I do is that I go to adjustment and then I go to hue saturation and reduce the saturation completely down. That's what I do. So that I don't have to worry about how much is the black, how much is the white there. Now, this has become a mask. Okay. So what I will do is that I will select it all. How to select all in Photoshop, you all know, Control A. Once I will press Control A, I will go to Edit and copy this. So this mask is being copied. So I will hide this mask from here. Okay. Now I will go to the RGB layer. Now I want the specular. I want to affect the like I want to change the specular, or you can see I can like you can say I want to like modify my specular or do some kind of changes. So what I will do here is that to change the specular or to adjust it or to modify it, usually I will be working on the levels of the specular. So I will create a specular, like create a new adjustment layer from here, this level. When I will add it here, and you can notice that I'm changing, so whole image is changing, okay, which actually I don't want. Okay, I don't want to change the whole thing here. Let me reset from here. I want only the specular to be affected. Now if you will notice that here I have added my adjustment layer, and next to adjustment layer this is a mask. The mask is completely, if I press Alt on my keyboard and click on the mask, you will see the whole mask is what? White. White means whatever layer is underneath, the whole effect will be applied on that. Okay, but if I will go back to my mask here inside the adjustment layer of level by pressing Alt, clicking here, I can paste here the mask which I copied, the one that I created here, the black and white image of the specular direct. Edit, paste. Now, if I will adjust the levels, it will only adjust the levels of the white area of my original image, not the black area. Okay, so is this part clear? Why do we use masks? Okay, anyone who have questions, just let me know at this stage. Now I will go back to my layer back here, which is my level. You can see that I have a different kind of levels as I'm using my I have a different sort of histogram now as I'm using it, like a mask which have variations. Now here I can change anything. First of all, let me deselect everything. Okay, by pressing Control D or going here in the select and pressing here. If I will change now, you can see that the whole image is not changing. The only the part of that white area is selecting. Now, if you want to select, like if you want to adjust your specular, like suppose I want more high specular or something or low specular. Let me move somewhere here so I can see what is going on clearly. Okay, so I will push it. Okay, you can see that it is reducing the specular here. Okay, in reality what is happening, let's see. If I go here, okay, so it is affecting the this part. Okay, so that's what it is doing. So if I will just push this, so you can see that I'm losing my white specular here. So I don't want to lose my white. If you want to make this room look like it was taken in an evening shot, or in a room, it's like a evening room, or when there was no light outside, then it's fine. Otherwise I don't have to. But if I will push this one, you can see I'm getting more highlights here. So not too much, otherwise it will be washed out. And then I can adjust this mid-tone. Okay, so I can have a little bit of contrast here. So this is how. And here you can play with the black and white of your image. Okay, so maybe a bit, just like this. Okay, I will close this. Now, before and after. So you can see that before there was too much highlight, I was not able to see things. After, I was able to fix those things. Now, this was for only specular, which was direct. Okay, what if I want to also work on indirect specular? So now I will take my indirect specular, make a copy of it, Control J, and move it on the top here. Okay, this is also colored, so I have to go to Image Adjustment, and I have to use my hue saturation, make it black and white, and press OK. Now this one, as you know, I have already copied here. I don't want this one. I will delete this, otherwise there will be too many layers. So I will Control A, I will press again, C, okay, and I will have copied it. I will delete this one. I will add another layer here of levels. Go inside this. Just notice how the levels look like. But when I will paste something inside here like this one, okay, and go out, you can see that things are not the same. I will deselect everything. Now this is what this area, okay, the one that are indirect. So indirect right now it's not affecting a lot, but if you want, you can change this. Okay, I will go here, and you can see that I'm losing my contrast. So to increase the contrast, I will bring this one. So indirect, I want it to be a little bit higher. Okay, and mid-tone, I will adjust according to it. So mid-tone, I don't want too much. These you can change from here as well. Okay. So, but I will keep it as this. I will close this down. Okay. Let's move this. I don't want a lot of options here. Okay. Now I'm done with this. Next thing, what I will do here is that I'm done with that, and I have here now my SSS, which is Subsurface Scattering. So if I will bring my SSS, a copy of it on the top, you will see only this part. So what I will do here is that I will if I will go here, okay, and choose screen, for example. So what it will do, it will remove that black part and only keep the part which is not black. So in reality, it looks like this, which is quite harsh. Okay, so what I want here is that I want the SSS not to apply on the whole image. I only want to apply on the cheese and the pepperoni. Okay, so what I will do, I will create a mask here on this SSS, and inside the mask I will put the black color from here. So what will the black color will do? If I will go in the mask, add the black color here, it will not show that thing, effect. because black means nothing will show, only white area will show. So as I have applied black here, now what I will do, I will take my brush, okay. For this purpose, I will use my my tablet, my drawing tablet, so it will be more easier for me to use it. Okay. So what I will do here is that I will take my brush, okay, change the color of my brush to something like a white. Okay. So I will go here, change my brush size like a brush color to white. Okay. And here I will take the brush. This is a soft brush, which is fine. But it's too big, I will reduce the size of the brush here. Okay. And this is white color, soft brush, and now I'm over here. Now what else I can do is that I don't want it to be too smooth. Okay, so I will go here, reduce the smoothness, okay, around maybe just 1 or 2, because I don't want it to be like a smooth or something like that. Okay, flow, I don't want like 100% flow, because I just want to apply some effect on it by when I'm moving my mouse. Opacity not too much, and also one thing, I can turn on these because I'm using the tablet, so it will create a like a nice sort of like effect. So wherever I will start drawing now with the white brush, it will start showing me my like what you call this subsurface scatter. So suppose this part, so I will start here, and you can see that start now appearing. Okay, so this is now appearing over here. Other parts I don't want it to have this effect, only here. Okay, now as I have applied on the side, so how do it looks like? So if I will go here, okay, and at this stage, if I will press Alt key and click here, so this is how I have painted. Okay, so maybe I go inside, and those areas which are not painted right away, I can also paint these back just like this. Okay, now this is painted, but what about this part? So what I will do, I will go back here and reduce the opacity a little bit more and start painting the sides, because sides are not like there is not a lot of subsurface scatter over here, because bread is thick. So thick things does not have a lot of subsurface scatter. So here I will just oops, sorry, I have to click here, then I will start. Okay, now you can see that it is applying here on the bread itself, and I don't want a lot of effect here basically. And if I will now see how it actually looks like, I can go here, and this is how I have added. Okay, so maybe but some place here I can add it, which is fine. Okay, so only on the corners I will add more. Okay, now what else I can do is that I can reduce the size of my brush a little bit more, and I will work on these pepperonis, because I want pepperonis to be more popping out and more like subsurface scattering over here. So I will draw on these. Okay, okay. Now I'm done, so I will keep my tablet back. Okay, so I will work now with my mouse again. Okay, so now we are done with this part, and if I want, let me add some here as well. Okay, now what I can do here is that I can add some sort of if you can see without the increased subsurface scattering, it looks like this, and with the subsurface scattering, it looks like this. Okay, and a bit more you can add here. Okay, so that it will look some sort of effect there. So what I did was that I have to select this and then apply. I was applying over here, which is wrong. Okay, make sure you apply on the mask here. If you click by mistake over here, it will start painting on the layer itself, not the mask, and we don't want the mask to get affected. Okay, now this is fine. Now you can increase in brightness of this, not this. I don't want to increase the brightness of the I don't want to change the level of these. I want to increase the level. I want to work on the level of subsurface scatter. So if I will go here, apply the levels here of the subsurface scatter, okay, and if I will do the changes, so it will do for the whole image, okay, which I don't want. So actually what I will do here is that I will click on this button, which will do what? It will clip it to the layer which is under this one, and it will not affect any other layer, only this layer. So I will go and clip it. Now if I will do any changes, it will be only in this area. Let me take my selection tool, because by mistake if I will click anywhere, so it will do the changes there. Now you can see that I can bring lower down, like I can pull the black in and white from there. I can work on the midtone, adjust it the way you want it. Okay, I think it's fine. Now one thing is that I want more red to pop out. So what I can do, I can individually go here in the red, and I can work on the red more to bring it up. So you can see that when I'm using the red more up, or like I'm pushing the red from here, I can see more red popping up. Okay, and I cannot have to go back here. So now the red is good. Okay, now close it and let's see. Before, very dull, we don't see any subsurface scatter. After, we have at least something as a subsurface scatter over there. So it makes a huge change. Okay, we can see before it's all dull, after you have this. Now one more thing I can do here is that I can select these two and put them in a group, in a folder. I'll select them and I can create on like a folder and call this SSS. And as you know, this is passed through. So if I will reduce the opacity, I can blend it with the normal. So 0 means completely there, and then I can blend it like this. So maybe I will blend it to 65%, which is good, because 100% will not look too realistic. Now I'm done with this subsurface scattering over here, and now I will bring my ambient occlusion copy of it. Ambient occlusion can be you can work on ambient occlusion. Okay, let's do one thing. Transmission. Let's work on transmission, and always make a copy of the layers and bring them. Okay, instead of bringing the original one. Okay, so here I will bring it on the top layer. So transmission, you can see, is all is here, and some transmissions are on the spots there. I can go here, exposure. So I can increase the exposure there just to see where it is right now. Okay. Offset, I don't want to change. Just exposure a little bit and gamma a little bit. Now I'm done. So I will go to my image, adjustment here, blacken, hue saturation, reduce the saturation here. Now this one, I can again use the screen. Okay, and you can see that it's too much here. Okay, so if I will hide it, unhide it, so you can see what is going on here. So because I changed the exposure, that's why we have it here. So what I will do here is that I will get a value of 15. So 15, now if you will see that, I can clearly see the water here. I can see more changes here as well. So that makes it good. Or maybe 10. Let's see other 15, 5. I think 5 is better. So 5 I will do it. And if you want, you can go to your levels, clip it down only to the transmission. So if I will change, it will only change the transmission basically. Okay. So if I increase or decrease this, we can see it is only affecting the transmission. So a little bit, I will increase the mid-tone, and this one I will push it. Black, I don't want to change anything. That's all. Okay. So not too much. I'll select these two, make a folder, and call this one transmission. Okay. Now I am done with the transmission here, and now let's work on the ambient occlusion. So ambient occlusion can be done 2 or 3 different ways. So I will take my ambient occlusion, okay, and make a copy and bring it on the top so you can see the whole thing as this. If I will go and change it to multiply, so the white will be disappeared, only the black part will be there. So I will do the multiply, and now you can see that I have the ambient occlusion, and if I will turn it off, it will look like this before and this after. So you have more shadow now, extra shadow stuff. So usually why we use the ambient occlusion. If you want to add extra shadow for that purpose, also what I can do here is that I can go in hue and saturation, suppose, okay, here, and I will clip this hue and saturation to ambient occlusion, so it will only affect the ambient occlusion. Now it is only affecting ambient occlusion. Now what if I want to change the color of my shadow? I don't want it to be black, I want it to be bluish. So I can colorize my shadow, like now it is blue. Now you can see all the shadows here are blue. So you can increase the blue shadow or like its saturation, or decrease its saturation, up to you. You want to make it lighter or darker, up to you. So for that purpose you can use it. Okay, but I don't want it to be bluish like this. I want it to be a warm color because the room itself is a little warm. So you can see that how it is changing. So I can choose the one that suits more. So I think something like this suits. Okay, I can make it lighter or darker. So not too light, not too dark. I think this one is fine. Okay, so this is one way of doing that, and other if you want to increase it. Okay, one other way to use this is you can take this ambient occlusion, make a copy of it, bring it here, and go to image. We have to inverse this. Okay, you will go to adjustment, invert it, so it will become something like this. Now what I can do over here is that the shadow, I can affect the shadow, okay, the brightness or darkness of the shadow, because the shadow is now white. How I can do that? I can apply a level. Okay, close this one for now. Take this, Control A, C, copy it, go to the levels mask, paste it here, and this one I don't want it anymore, so I will delete this. Now if I will do any changes inside this adjustment, so it will only do to the shadows, because my shadow is the white area as we can see here, and rest is the black area. Okay, so you will notice that here if I'm increasing or decreasing, the shadow is getting affected. Okay, or vice versa, like if I go here and Control I, again Control I is for inverse, it will go back to normal. And now if I will do it, it will be opposite. Shadow will not be affected, rest of the other stuff will be affected. Okay, so this is one way of doing this. And maybe I can go to the green channel, work on the green channel here. Okay, a little bit increase the green channel, then blue. I can work a bit on the blue channel as well. I can go and work on the red channel as well. So I can have something like this kind of a result, but it will not affect the shadow. Shadow will remain as it is, black. Okay, so this is one way of doing. This is basically called cross processing. And if it is too harsh, you can reduce the opacity of this effect. Okay, something like this. But I think I don't want this effect here. Now everything is ready. I want to flatten this whole thing so I can apply another effect because they all are in layers. So what I will do here is that I will select all of them from the RGB, all of them just like this, and make a duplicate of it by dragging that into this duplicate option. And now I will merge it. Layer, flat, merge layers, or Control E. So it will become one layer here. You can see that. So in this way, it will not affect my original layer. Okay. Now I have a really good effect which is called Nik Collection effect. Okay, plugin. That plugin is basically like from Google. You can have them from Google. It's free. Okay, so now I will work on the Nik Collection here, and it's a very good effect. And I will show you the one it's like a library of effects, and I will show you the one which I really like to work on. So I will go to the filter, and I will go to the Nik Collection. And here, the one that I really like is the Color Effects Pro. I will go here. Now it will give me the list of effects. Okay, like a lot of effects will be there, but from that list also I don't use all of them. So you can see that there is a lot here, and I don't use all of them here. I use few of them. So I will show you the one that I use. Click on all so you can see everything, and then you will go to tonal contrast. Here at the end is tonal contrast. Now let me show you, zoom in, how the tonal contrast works. Now with, I have applied tonal contrast. Now with tonal contrast it's like this, without it's like this. So you can see that tonal contrast pops out some of your object, but it makes it darker. Okay, so it makes it darker, more like surreal, like kind of surreal, a surreal sort of image. So what you can do is that don't apply default values, you have to adjust. Okay, you can go to contrast type and see which one suits best. High pass is too harsh, fine is basically okay, balance will balance between your existing one and the one that you are applying. Okay, and then you have strong, which will apply a very strong value. So I prefer right now is the fine. If I go to fine and then compare my original with the fine, so this is my original, this is fine. So you can see fine has a good output, but it has not made my image darker like the standard. Okay, so I like this one. I will press OK. And the part that you don't want the effect, you can take the brush and brush out the part that you don't want. That you can also do. Okay, and also from here you can add some control point and you can remove the part that you don't want, like you can do also masking. So I'll press OK, and you can see that the good thing about the Nik Collection is that it doesn't apply on the original image. It makes a copy of that image and make like a duplicate effect on it. So this is after, this is before. Okay, not too much difference, but the difference is good. It gives a little bit pop out to my color. So if I will zoom in, especially notice the pizza box. Without Nik Collection, look at the pizza box, it's all flat. But with the Nik Collection effect, you can see that here everywhere it pops out my collection. Now what I was using the basically what you call that tonal contrast. Now let's move to the other Nik Collection, Color Effects Pro, and let's see, I have one more here. Okay, briefly, this is brilliance warmth. I don't use it a lot, but I will show you what it do. If you go to brilliance warmth, you will get saturation and warmth. If you want image to be warmer, you can go to the yellow part, and it will give a warm feeling to your image, but it will not kind of mess around with your colors. Okay, if you want cool, you can go back here. Other than that, what you can do, you have different kind of saturation values. The normal saturation, if you go higher, it will bleed all the color out, which is not good. And if I lower, it will affect just like this. I can keep this one lower, but I have here perceptual saturation as well. So if I will increase the perceptual one, so what it will do is that it will perceive what is the color value here, and according to that, it will increase that. So this is one way to do this, but I will not use the brilliance warmth over here. I'm just showing you the one that I use more. Now here, I really like the one is the cross process. If you go in the cross process, you will get all the different methods of cross processing. This is the old method of making pictures look more stylized. Okay, blue, orange color, teal, orange color look like that. So when you click on the method, you will see there are a lot. You can roll over to see the one that you really like, and you can select that one. Okay, now here I'm rolling over. I like this one, T04. Also, I like the L02. Let's go more and see that. Okay, so this one, T01 is also good. But I think I will go for, first let's go to T04 and see how it looks like before and after. Before, after, okay. Bit bluish, but let's see L02. So I think L02 is good. Now you can increase the strength of your cross process to more or to less. Okay, so it was 33, which I think was better. So I will put it 33 and press OK. So you can see that it will apply the effect here. The colors are changed. It looks more nicer. Okay, now let's go to Nik Collection again, Color Effects Pro, and the one that I will show you right now is basically called the Pro Contrast. So if I go to Pro Contrast, I can increase the color contrast. So it will try to pull, nice colors to it. So, very nice colors it looks like. Greenish sort of thing. So what it is doing is that it's taking the colors out of the room environment, and pulling that color more. But I don't want it to be more, maybe 28 is fine. Correct contrast. Right now, if the contrast is not correct, if I will increase the correct contrast, so it will start correcting my contrast. So maybe not too much, a little bit. Dynamic contrast will increase the area which are out of contrast and try to pull them back forcefully. Okay, so maybe a little bit. I will increase this too, and compare it to before and after. You can see a nice contrast. I have it. Maybe correct color contrast. I will reduce it. Okay, so now it's fine. And once we have applied this here, I can go back. I can go here in Nik Collection. Then I have here Analog Effects Pro. I will go here in Analog Effects Pro. Okay. So what it will do is here is that it will give me another option here. Okay. But let me do one thing here, because the analog color will not create a duplicate copy. So I have to make a duplicate copy of this one, the one that I applied, and then I will go here and then go to analog effects. Okay. Now when it is loaded, you will see that there are some ready-made options over here which you can use. But analog will give you old film style look to your images, okay? Like how it used to look like in older times, those kind of things, like 80s, 70s cameras, okay? So even you can have some 90s camera effect over here. So those kind of effects you can add it here. So I don't want to add these harsh effect over here, okay? So some of the effects I use from this analog effects is, I will show you that. I will not add anything from here. What I will do, I will just click here, classic camera option, and go to add basic adjustment. Now I'm in the basic adjustment. Here I can increase the detail extractor, so it will give me more detailed image. I can increase or decrease the saturation as well, okay, or brightness on contrast as well, just like I have here, okay. So before and after bit change there is, okay, but I don't want to apply this right now, I don't think. Then I have here lens distortion. I will go here. This is what I usually use, and I sometimes use here light leaks, but in the end, not in the beginning. And I also use vignette effect. This one also I use at the end, not in the beginning. But here I have the lens distortion. Now if you can see that it have distorted my lens of the camera. So if I see before and after, you can see it's all distorted. So I don't want a distorted lens feeling here, okay. So what I can do here is, I want it to be in the middle. Middle means exactly what like what you're looking for, like which is the actual camera lens, the original. But I don't know the middle value here. So what you can do is that down here you have chromatic shift. Now what is the chromatic shift? If you see here, you have some chroma colors like coming out of it. Like right now this is using red and cyan. So you can see red and cyan bleeding out. If I will use this one, so you will see a different color bleeding out. This one show you different, okay. But I prefer this, but not too much right now. I will keep this value 0, so it will move in the middle. So once this will move in the middle, okay, this should be 0. Once it was in the middle, I now know where is the middle part. So I will take this one, okay, let me zoom out and put this one in the middle as well. So if I will do in the middle, so now if you will compare it, so it is not too much changed, okay. So that's fine. Now if I will zoom in, I want to apply chromatic shift to give a realistic feeling, because in in pictures that you take usually with your cameras, there is a kind of chromatic shift, but not too much. If I will type here 50, so that you can see it's a lot, which is not right. So it should be, I usually put 3. In this size of the image, like this bigger image, I put 3. So there is a slight effect, not too much. So you can see that there is a slight effect, but not too much. So I will press OK to it. Now I have this lens distortion here. Now what I can do here is that this is my final image on the top. So now what I will do, I will apply the lens blur effect over here, the Z depth. So I will go to my Z depth layer here, okay. So let me show you, here is the Z depth. I will soloize this by pressing Alt key and clicking the eye. So what it will do, it will hide all and keep this one on. Now I will select all of it, Control A, okay, and I will copy it. It's copied. Now Alt, click it again. Now I will go back to the top one, and here what I will do here is that I will deselect everything, Control D, and then I will make a mask, and I will go inside the mask and put that Z depth here. Now go out. It will not show you anything yet, okay, because how the Z depth work, you just put it here inside the mask right now. Now how it will work, I will go back to my original layer, go to the filter, go to blur, okay, and go to lens blur. So once I will go to the lens blur, it will open the lens blur option, and here I have to choose layer, and I will choose here more accurate. Source, I will use layer mask. Okay, so this is taking the mask and applying the depth of field according to it. Now here is where the magic happens, the blur focal distance. Now if I will move it, okay, let me do one thing. This is the radius, the amount of blur. Let me increase this all the way to 100 so you can see exactly how it is, what the effect is happening. Now the blur focus, where I want to focus, I can shift the focus where I want. So you can see that now the focus is here and not here. Now if I will move it back down, so it's going back, the focus is going backward. If I'm bringing here, the focus is coming back to the piezo. Okay, so this is how your mask depth of field will work over here, okay, with the Z depth mask. Now easier thing to do here is that here you have set focal point. You click over here and click on the item that you want to be in focus. I want the piezo to be in focus. I will click on the piezo. Rest of everything will be blurred out. Only the piezo will be in focus. But the 100 value is too high. Okay. But before changing it, you have shapes of the bokeh, the blur value. Right now it is pentagon. I can make it to triangle. So you will see that it is not that detailed. If I can make it hexagon or octagon, it will be more roundish. Okay, and if I will go and make it hexagon, it will be different. So I try to use pentagon. I can change the value of its blade, means like its side. So if you can see, if I'll make it 100%, so just notice, or even more closer if I will move it. Okay, just to show you the effect here. If I will change the blade curvature, so notice that how it is changing in the background. Okay, so this is with a 0 curvature and this is with 100 curvature. So 100 curvature makes it more blurry. So, but I will keep it somewhere between 100 and there. Now I can rotate this because, you know, hexagon is a shape that can be rotating like that. Now here we have brightness on contrast. So brightness and threshold. The brightness threshold is about the items here. Now notice how bright this part is. So if I will reduce the threshold, I will start bringing that back in. And I can see my blur shape more. I can also reduce the brightness here. And maybe I can adjust the threshold a little bit more, brightness a little bit less. So this is how you can adjust between these two. So I will keep it something like this. Okay. Now you can easily see your shapes, like triangle will look like this, a square will look like this, pentagon will look like this. So it's changing behind. Okay. You can add noise, but noise is not a good idea. Okay. Then you have distribution, uniform distribution or Gaussian. Now the difference is that uniform will keep the rotation at the same point. Gaussian will be left or right, okay, or a little bit affected. Here I have a monochromatic. If I will turn on the monochromatic, so the noise basically that I'm adding will be black and white, okay. So you can see that the difference, okay. So this is basically for the noise anything. But what I want here to change is the amount, the radius of my blur. It's too blurry. So maybe I will change it to something around 50 and see, yeah, this looks good. Or maybe even less. 30 is fine. Okay. 30 or maybe 45, something like that will be fine. Or let's see if I reduce it a little bit more. I think 30 is good. Okay. So 30 looks good. Things are in focus. These things which are really far away are not in focus. So I can press OK here. And when you press OK, you don't see the result. How you get the result? You go to the mask that you applied. Once you select the mask, don't press delete on your keyboard. Go here and press delete. When you press delete here, it will ask you to apply mask to layer before removing. Okay, so what you do, you don't click apply, you just press delete. So automatically what it will do, it will apply and then delete the mask. And now you can see it has applied the blur, it is there, and it has deleted the mask as well. Now our image is almost ready. Final touch-ups, as I was telling you, I will go to the filter here. Okay, then I will go to Nik Collection, Color Effects Pro here. Okay, oh sorry, Analog Effects Pro, because the one that I was telling you about, the Vignette Effect, also the light leak effect, okay, that you can add over here. So I can go back here and I can go in my classic camera here, Vignette. So what does the Vignette do? It gives some black, outline here. So when I will click on Vignette, it will give me this circle which I can move. My more focus is here, so I will move it here. Okay, I can increase the amount of the vignette darker or brighter. So I will make it little dark, not too bright. Circle, if I will increase this, this will become from circle to squarish. So I will keep it something like this. Size, I can increase or decrease. So I will keep something like this. Okay. Now at the same time, I can add a light leak over here. So I can press here on the plus icon. So it will have lens also and light leak. So inside your Nik Effects Pro, when you the Nik effects, you in Analog Effects Pro, you can add as many at the same time. But the Color Effects Pro, it will give you one effect at one time. So you have to keep on adding, effects after and after and after. Here, all you can put at once. You just have to press the plus button, and then you can go here. There are a lot of lens options here, which will give you some, good kind of a feeling to your images. So just check the one that you like, you can apply those. Apart from this, you have more effect here in the crisp, like something like this. Okay, basically light leaks are like, older cameras where your lens is not correctly fit to your body of the camera, so some lights comes in, it creates sometimes beautiful effects. So for that purpose, then you have dynamic. Okay, something like this you have, something like this you have. I usually like this one because it is very subtle once you apply it, and plus there are two types, left and right. So if your light is in this direction, so apply this one, so it will create something like this kind of effect. And I can move this, you can see that, and I will move it a little bit up here. Now if you think it is too strong, you can reduce this. Okay, something like this. Okay, and then it will create a new layer and apply over there. Okay. Now another one which I use is known as Boris Effects, but Boris Effects is basically not free. You have to buy this, but it gives you a lot of good results. Okay, I already applied color over here, so what I can do, I can go to this one, make a copy of this, put it up here, and apply the effect on this one. Okay, so it will load the effect, and then for the first time it takes a little time here. Okay, so now I have my image here. So I have different type of effects. Color. Okay, so I can take my image, you can see this current, original current, how it looks like. Okay, so here you will see the effect here. if I will put auto adjustment, I have auto color, auto contrast, auto levels. It will do automatically everything. Black and white, it will make it, and I can have different version of black and white. You can see the histogram here as well. Okay. Then some are not applicable here. So the color correct, I'm here in the color correct, so it will do the color correction. So if you will see, this is 21 space odyssey site, like the type of color. This is artificial intelligence, AI. This is aliens, apocalypse now. Different movie names. Okay, Babe and Back to the Future, Beetlejuice, Blade Runner. Different movie names, and according to that movie's names, you can apply different sort of colors. Okay, color correction. The one that you really like, you can select that, press OK, and it will be applied. Okay, so these things you can apply. Then you have curves. Okay, that manually you have to adjust. You have to develop. You can do different kind of level, like developing over here with these values. Enhancing, suppose enhancing the red. So you can go to the red value, enhance the red of your color of your image. Okay, or green of your image. Fluorescent you have, which is like a tube light in your house, so that will increase the tube light effect. Okay. Haze, it will give you like a hazy feeling in your image. Okay, basically like a lens, like a light lead. High contrast, it will give you high contrast results. Kelvin, basically like a tungsten light, a warm light effect. It will give you different sort of like Kelvin effect. From tungsten to fluorescent, it will take you there. Okay, from warm to cool. Different levels, low contrast effects, match effects. If you want to match it with some external light, okay, external image, you can go to source, browse it, and then you can have it. Ozone, effects of like polarize, and you have a lot of things here. Okay, sky effect here as well. Now diffuse blurs, you have here different kind of blurry. If you don't have Z depth, maybe you can use this part, but it will not look realistic. Okay, because with the depth of field map, the one that we have created inside of our Maya, that will give you more realistic result. Here, it will not give you that realistic result. Okay. Film lab effect, cross processing, the one that I showed you before inside Nik Effects, same we have here, but I prefer Nik Effects is more better. Okay, and you have a lot here. Flashing, basically just like you have a camera flash effect, you can apply that here. Grain, film grains will be applied. You can see now that there's a noise here. Now looks is basically different like set of looks of your images. Okay. Now gradient effects here, like two different gradients creating one. Okay, so you have here this split tones, you have this different tones, and you can change the tones of the color. Okay, photographic styles, so you can see a lot of things are here in Boris. It's a good like a you can say plugin. Okay, lens will give you some different kind of lens effect. Okay, so you can choose different kind of lens effect from here. You can see that different yellow, all the yellow is gone, only red is showing more. Different cyan, on the yellow is cyan is gone. Okay, and just like that. Okay, so if you want to remove all the red is gone. Okay, so this one way. Now lights, this is where I use a different side, like type of lights over here. Okay, it has some good lights effect inside. Now this one is basically actually what it will do, it will just create a light from here, and then you can use it in your image. Now this is how this light, because I use this for these lens filter lights. Okay, So how it usually works, I don't want to apply it, so I will close it, no save. Okay, and I will create a black layer over here, then Boris Effects, Optics. Okay, and then I will go to the light, and then I can use the lens flare here, and the word then lens effects that I want to apply, I don't know why it's not showing here, but usually it shows. Okay, so I will press done, but I don't know what's the reason. Maybe this is not the full version, so that's one issue. But let's do one more time. Instead of using that one, I will show you some other. Okay, so you can see that I have this halo effect here, or spotlight. Okay, rainbow effect. So I can use this, put this rainbow anywhere here. Amount of the rainbow basically displace it, blur it more or less blur. Okay, and move wherever you want, just like this. Okay, and once you are done, just press done button here. It will be applied. It's a black layer. So what you need to do, you have to simply go here, choose screen, and you will have that effect. And maybe you can increase the size of this. Okay, and put wherever it suits. And you can reduce its effect. Okay, some sort of this kind of effect it will give you. So everything is clear, everyone? Any question do you have regarding multipass rendering? Camera raw, I didn't understand about the camera raw over here. Okay, you asked me, can we use the camera raw? Yeah, camera raw, if you mean like the camera raw, that if you bring any raw image inside your Photoshop and that like pops up, that you can also use it, but I don't know how you can access that with this. Okay, but you can use that one. Okay, uh, but I'm not sure how to do that. But there could be a like a way of doing that. Okay, so this is how, as you know, you all have this image. Okay, so what I can do here is that let me duplicate this one and make it flat. Okay, and then I will just press Control Shift A so to bring that up. Let's see if it works. Okay, now as you all know that I have brought you, like I have told you about that you have your assignment, you have to create a breakfast scene. Okay, now that breakfast scene, once you render, this is the way you have to render. Make sure you add all these effects that I told you about. For example, I told you about uh, subsurface scattering, for maybe if you're making egg, oranges if you're making. Okay, so right amount, not like very harsh amount, right amount of it. Okay, of the effect. So you have to go to the file where we created this. Okay, so learn from there how to do this modeling and how to apply texture, and also see how we can like render it. Okay, so this is how it will actually usually like work in the end when you have your render. Okay, so this is my result here, but one issue is that I have to, because I applied a huge rainbow, so that's why it's this big. So let me cut and paste it and delete this layer so that rainbow is not there. So I'll press Ctrl Shift A again to get my camera raw, and yes, you can apply the camera raw effects over here. So everything is working fine because this image is 16-bit image. 16-bit image is a good quality image. Okay, so a lot of things you can do here. You can, you know, change accordingly. So many things are here. Okay, so yeah, you can use camera raw, and I never tried this before, but it can be worked. Usually I use camera raw for photographs, for raw images, but yes, you can use it here as well. This is also good. Okay, so just please work on your assignment, which is about the breakfast table, like your breakfast scene. And by this weekend, I will upload other assignments too, which is not near. You don't have to upload it or work on it very soon, but it's better to know it earlier. Okay, so I'll just stop the stream from here, and please come on the Blackboard so I can explain you more things, and I will take your attendance. Okay, so let's move to Blackboard. So from here, let's see off.